The golden age of point-and-click adventure games is long gone. There was a time when folks like Tim Schafer, Ron Gilbert, Al Lowe, and others wandered the world bestowing comedically puzzling games onto the masses, but that time is long past. Or is it? Hi everyone, Josh Silverman from Constant Calibrating here, going to be doing a little bit of review of Thimbleweed Park. In the last few years, there's been a resurgence in this classic approach to adventure games. There have been many different attempts, from the remastering of Leisure Suit Larry, Grim Fandango, and Day of the Tentacle, to new journeys in King's Quest and brand new tales like Broken Age. Due to this, we have seen an almost reawakening of the long-dormant market. Now, near the start of 2017, we have another entry in this journey with Thimbleweed Park from Terrible Toybox and the minds of Ron Gilbert, Gary Winnick, and others from LucasArts legends. Thimbleweed Park Arena tells the story of a murder in a small town. Two federal agents, Ray and Reyes, come to solve this murder, but unbeknownst to each other, there are ulterior motives afoot. And we're not even just talking about between those unlikely partners, but across the realm of every member of the Thimbleweed Park community. The goal of the game, like any good adventure game, is to figure out what everyone wants and needs as you move through the story. At its surface, and even dug a few levels down, the game comes across as Twin Peaks meets X-Files meets Maniac Mansion, as filtered through the mind of a madman. The story reads as a very simple tale for its first chapter or two before picking up as you unlock your full cast of characters. Unlike Maniac Mansion, on which Thimbleweed is heavily inspired, you don't start out with your full team of adventurers off the bat. In fact, you'll be a decent bit into the game before every member of the story gets their time in the spotlight-a-hoo. Speaking of the cast of characters, you start with the aforementioned agents Ray and Reyes, a confident and cocky no-fuss agent and a stumbling, slightly bumbling fella, respectively. In the modern era of gaming, if you're anything like me, you'll end up picking your main character, the person who will hold all your specks of dust and items, while your other character sort of just gets dragged across the world. The game knows you're going to do this and has plot moments that force you into playing as your cohort. This, while annoying for a moment initially, is a good thing. A very good thing. It gives you an opportunity to see a different perspective on events and hear a different voice for things. I started out bored with Reyes when he was speaking, but due to an event early in the game, I was left to only play with him for a short bit. Suddenly, I found myself enjoying his dialogue and almost childlike view on the events of the town. The game knows. Now, this wouldn't be a Maniac Mansion-inspired game if you were only left with two people to play with. As seen in the trailers, you get to embody a few other individuals. We have Ransom, the clown, and Dolores, heir to the Pillatronics Empire. There's also the hauntingly familiar fifth compatriot, but this is a review, not a den of spoilers. You'll stay tuned in a few minutes for our new show, Den of Spoilers, trademark, Tronics. There's an in-joke in there. As far as our additional characters, both of the main ones we're discussing provide outstanding outlooks at different aspects of the game world and ultimately become the standout main characters of the game. Ransom is a brilliant example of what could have been a simple, amusing, little jokey character, but ends up becoming the tragic tale of the game. His thread from start to finish is amazing and his viewpoint is awesome. Now on the other side we have Dolores, who serves, at least at first, as the voice of adventure gaming past. Much of her scenes and dialogue and even house are ripped straight from the era of LucasArts past. I would be very surprised if she didn't end up becoming the favorite character of Thimbleweed Park and a favorite of the adventure gaming genre as a whole. So we've talked about characters and alluded to story, but this is a game, specifically a point-and-click adventure game-a-boo. So how does it play? Well, very, very well, in fact. Oh, you wanted more info? Well, I guess I can elaborate a bit. The crux of the point-and-click games of old is that you played by choosing from a series of verbs and then clicked on an object. This could lead to many different things happening. You could look at the door and hear a sarcastic remark about it being a door, or you could use the door and hear a sarcastic remark asking how you'd like it to be used. Or you could open/close a door and find out that you spent 5 minutes investigating a door that has nothing to do with the game at all. And this goes for objects other than doors too, just to be clear, as the entire world is navigated this way. As time went on, this changed into more context-sensitive icons and even grew into just like a simple use button, depending on the game. Thimbleweed Park sticks to the classics as you have a series of 9 verbs to choose from: open, close, give, pick up, look at, talk to, push, pull, and use. All are fairly self-explanatory, but if you need a better understanding of verbs, I can recommend some wonderful websites. If you ever play Maniac Mansion or others of its era, or were actually listening to me in the last few minutes, you know how this whole shtick works. We also know that while wonderful, classic adventure games sometimes could become very tedious and monotonous. Thimbleweed makes great strides towards improving quality of life through some simple tweaks. First off, being the modern era, it is understood everyone is in a rush, so the game allows for double-clicking and holding the mouse down to run wherever you want on screen. Additionally, when holding your cursor over an object or person, it will highlight a recommended option. If on PC, right-clicking will use that recommended action. For most things, this will allow you to look at it, but for doors, it will almost always lead to opening them, or closing if they happen to already be opened. It's a minor thing, but damn, does it make things run more smoothly, keeping you enthralled in the narrative, without too many hiccups or things that might pull you out of it. Speaking of quality of life and whatnot, we've already discussed how gaming has changed over the years. At least I'm pretty sure we have. The adventure games of late are predominantly remastered versions of the classics, or newer entities with fresh modern looks. Not Thimbleweed Park, which outside of a slight bit of added smoothness, looks like it could have been made in the late 80s, early 90s of gaming. For a game that gives off a similar vibe to Netflix's Stranger Things, it's unsurprising that we have another modern pop culture entity that seems more 1980s than things that were actually made in the 1980s. Let's end with some final thoughts as we're trying to keep B-roll to a minimum to avoid spoilers, and even I'm sick of looking at my face. Okay, this part is going to be purely opinion-based arena, which is entirely unlike the rest of the review and review culture in general. The game offers two modes of play, casual and hard mode. In casual mode, you're never really left wondering about what to do next. You're offered viable solutions and it follows a more narrative-driven experience. Hard mode is closer in line to the classic adventure gaming and even has more added puzzles. If you're looking for my opinion, which you're watching this, so in theory you should be, stick to hard mode if you've ever played a game like this before. I tried casual mode thinking that I needed to play this game as quickly as possible just to get a review out, and only lasted about 15 minutes before the simplicity bored me to tears. This mode is great for people new to this genre or style of game, but if you want the true experience, stick to hard. Second final thought is to play it on PC or at least a tablet/touchscreen if that is an option. The game is launching on Xbox Live as well, with PlayStation Network to follow, but frankly, the controller just feels sluggish as hell. Maybe this will be different on console itself, but I found using an Xbox One controller on PC to just kind of be infuriating. Final thought. This game has some very difficult and even entirely missable puzzles. Now, you're never going to back yourself into a corner and reach a fail state in the game, but there are a few puzzles that have me emailing PR asking for tips. It seriously felt like the old Sierra helpline of the 90s, except Thimbleweed Park's toll rates were a bit more reasonable. On that topic, I'd recommend you try not to look up walkthroughs or spoilers. I realize everyone feels differently about this topic, but this is a game that's made to be experienced as you go. The moment you start unraveling what is going on is an experience in gaming I'm not soon to forget. Thimbleweed Park isn't just another point-and-click adventure game, it's the point-and-click adventure game I've been waiting for since discovering Maniac Mansion hiding inside of Day of the Tentacle back when I was 8 years old. I'm 32 now, or in June I'll be 32. The DNA of that classic game is woven throughout this title and frankly is extremely readily apparent in many places. If you loved Maniac Mansion, Monkey Island, or any of the classic LucasArts games, this is a must-buy. In a month filled with big AAA games like Horizon Zero Dawn, Mass Effect Andromeda, and Breath of the Wild, take 10 or so hours out of your week or even a single day and sit down with this wonderful, absolutely breathtaking, amazing narrative adventure. The signals tell me you won't regret it. This has been Josh with Constantly Calibrating, reviewing Thimbleweed Park. Make sure to check out the game, which is available to buy right now across all sort of PC platforms and Xbox Live. And I believe Mac apps as well, or Apple apps. What's the proper term for that now? Sign off.